She cleaned his wound and gave him antibiotics. No chart, no paperwork. That's what got her suspend dead. No dramatic outburst, no shouting match, just a quiet moment of human decency in a system that had forgotten how to be human. That's what the administrator said after Claire Morgan treated a struggling veteran the way a nurse should. She didn't argue, didn't beg. She just handed over her badge, nodded once, and walked out. 3 hours later, the elevator dinged, and out stepped a man who absolutely did not belong in that hospital lobby, at least not the way patients or visitors usually show up. 4 stars on each shoulder. Straight-backed. Sharp-eyed. He wasn't lost. He didn't need directions. He looked the receptionist square in the eye and asked for her by name. Claire Morgan, 36, had been a nurse at Riverside General for almost 11 years. One of those people who says sir and ma'am, no matter what someone looks like. Torn jeans, no shoes, smelling like the street, it didn't matter. Respect was baked into her bones. And on that particular Wednesday afternoon, the moment that upended her whole life began the way most chaos does, quietly. A man limped into the ER. Thin, weathered, older. His name tag said Walter Briggs. The dog tag on his keychain said U.S. Army. His jeans were torn, and his leg, man, it looked bad. A long, angry gash, red and swollen, screaming for help. The front desk clerk didn't even flinch. Just muttered, "No insurance," like that was the end of the story. Claire heard it from where she was prepping supplies and stopped mid-step. "That doesn't mean he doesn't need help," she said, voice calm but firm. The charge nurse frowned. "We can't admit him. He's not in the system." Claire didn't blink. "Then I'll treat him off the system." She didn't make a show of it, grabbed a med kit, sat him down in a quiet corner, cleaned the wound, applied antibiotics, wrapped the leg. Gave him a granola bar from her own lunch bag, too. Walter winced. "Ma'am," he whispered, "I don't want to be a burden." Claire smiled, small but steady. "You fought for this country. Let someone fight for you now." His eyes didn't tear up, but they didn't need to. They looked like they'd seen enough desert and not nearly enough mercy. "Thank you," he said, barely audible. "You didn't see me," Claire replied. "But you're not walking out of here limping." The next morning, administration called her in. No real hearing. No real discussion. Just a hallway that felt colder with every step. The director read off policies like commandments. Unauthorized medication, unauthorized treatment, unauthorized compassion, basically. Claire stood there and took it. When they told her she was suspended pending review, she didn't flinch. Just nodded and packed up a decade of work in silence. 10 years gone in one meeting. Outside, the sun was mocking her, too bright, too cheery for the weight she was carrying. She got in her car, whispered to herself, "I'd do it again," and drove home through streets that used to feel familiar but now felt like someone else's town. That night, sitting at her kitchen table, she stacked her old nursing textbooks one by one. All those chapters on protocol. None of them ever taught her what to do when a policy stood in the way of a pulse. She made a cup of tea, let it go cold. Her phone buzzed once, then again. Then it didn't stop. A few co-workers texted, some supportive, most silent. Then someone posted it online. "Nurse suspended for helping a veteran. Welcome to 2025. The internet lost its mind. Comments poured in. Policy over people? This is why we lose the good ones. My dad served and got treated like garbage. God bless that nurse. She's a hero, period. If this is real, that hospital should be ashamed." No press release. No apology. Riverside General said nothing. Claire sat on her porch, trying not to cry, but her phone kept lighting up. Messages from veterans, from nurses in other states, even from strangers just saying thank you. One message stood out. "He told me what you did. You don't know me, but I know him. I'm coming." No name, no number. Just that. Back inside Riverside, the administrator Richard Hale stood firm. "We can't reward rule breaking," he said sharply. "It's not about feelings. It's about structure." The next morning, the hospital felt off, uneasy, like a storm brewing behind the break room doors. At exactly 8:14 a.m., the elevator dinged. Out stepped General Thomas Avery. He didn't need directions. He didn't smile. He didn't waste time. "I'm looking for Nurse Claire Morgan," he said to the startled receptionist. Word spread like wildfire. Phones came out. Staff peeked from behind doors. Hale practically sprinted from his office, his tie a little crooked. "General," he puffed, "may I ask what this is regarding?" Avery barely looked at him. "I'm here to speak. On record." By sunset, it wasn't just an HR issue anymore. It was national news. Veteran groups were calling, flooding the switchboard with one question: is it true you turn away a veteran in need? No one had answers. Just scripts. Shaky voices. Back at Claire's house, her elderly neighbor knocked gently and handed her a casserole. "My husband served in Korea," she said, barely above a whisper. "When he came home busted up, someone like you didn't ask for paperwork either." 2 job offers came in that night. Both private clinics. Both said the same thing: "We saw what you did." At Riverside, morale started cracking. Nurses took longer breaks. Supervisors wore tiny flag pins, even though it broke dress code. Someone put up a sticky note in the staff lounge: "Compassion is not a policy violation." Hale held a mandatory meeting. His voice sharp, his eyes darting. "This isn't about veterans," he insisted. "It's about procedure, liability, structure, rules that keep us safe." One nurse raised her hand. "Safe from what, sir?" "Compassion." He didn't answer. Later, his coffee mug disappeared. No one admitted to it. That night, Hale sat alone in his office, reviewing Claire's file. 10 years, spotless. Top evaluations. 0 complaints. A model employee. He didn't understand how it had all unraveled so fast. Then the hospital board chair called. "Veteran groups are organizing," he said. "Congress is watching. You need to fix this." So Hale drafted a cold, cautious press release. Something about reviewing policies. No apologies, no names. The next morning, his assistant burst in. "Sir, there's a military vehicle outside. Government plates. Flags. A driver standing at attention." "Who is it?" Hale asked, heart thudding. "They're asking for Claire Morgan. And they mentioned you." He straightened his tie, walked toward the entrance, and, just as the elevator dinged again, General Avery stepped into the lobby. The place froze. "I'm General Thomas Avery," he said, "and I serve with the man your nurse helped." Silence. "Walter Briggs saved my life. Twice. In Kandahar. When I was bleeding out behind a burning truck, he didn't ask for a policy number. He ran." The general's voice didn't rise. It didn't need to. It carried weight. "Your nurse gave him what he needed. Antibiotics. And dignity." He pulled out 2 envelopes. One sealed addressed to the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. The other? "For Claire. She's outside," someone whispered, "sitting on the curb." Without another word, Avery walked out. Claire looked up. Boots stopped just inches from her. He saluted. "Corpsman Morgan," he said. "Permission to thank you properly." She stood, stunned. "I'm not military." "No," he said, "but you remembered what we fight for." He handed her the envelope. Inside, an invitation to speak at the National Medical Ethics Summit, and a job offer from the VA. Back inside, Hale watched through the glass. His title felt smaller than ever. Avery returned, voice steady. "Walter Briggs never asked for praise. He didn't complain. He waited 5 days to come here because he was trained to endure, not to inconvenience." Then Claire asked a single question. "Will they change?" Avery looked her in the eye. "Only if someone like you walks back in." Moments passed. Then Administrator Hale stepped forward. "Nurse Morgan, your suspension is rescinded." One nurse clapped, then another, but the applause felt thin. "That's not enough," Avery said. "Lifting a punishment isn't the same as admitting it never should have happened." "What would you have me do?" Hale asked, broken. "Start," the general replied, "by admitting the failure wasn't hers." Just then, Walter Briggs walked into the hospital. No limp, no cane. He didn't say a word, just stood beside Claire. Hale looked at them, the general, the veteran, the nurse. He swallowed hard. "I apologize," he said, "to both of you. I lost sight of what mattered." Claire stood, brushed off her jeans. "What happens now?" she asked. Avery smiled. "That depends on what's in that envelope." 2 weeks later, a plaque went up near the ER. "For those who act with compassion before protocol." Claire didn't give interviews. She returned not just as a nurse, but as the new veteran care liaison, a position created just for her. Every Thursday, Walter drops by with coffee and a flag he sets quietly on the desk. One day, a new nurse asked, "Is that her? The woman from the story?" Briggs didn't even look up. She's not a story. She's a reminder. Now, above the triage desk at Northgate Medical, there's a sign. You're not forgotten. You're not alone. Welcome home. The story spread. Other hospitals took notice. A senator introduced the Claire Morgan Act guaranteeing emergency care for veterans. No red tape. 3 months after the day it all began, Claire walks those halls wearing 2 badges, Northgate Medical and Department of Veterans Affairs. And one rainy Tuesday, a package showed up on her desk. Inside, her old badge, framed. Next to it, a handwritten note. Some rules are meant to be broken. Thank you for knowing which ones. It wasn't signed, but she knew exactly who wrote it. That afternoon, a resident approached her. About a Marine in room 7. No insurance. VA's 2 hours away. Protocol says transfer. But he's not stable. Claire looked him dead in the eye. What's your instincts say? To treat him now. Then you already know what to do. As she turned, the resident called after her. What if I get in trouble? Claire smiled over her shoulder. Then I'll call the general. If you believe quiet courage still changes the world, comment, respect. Do you think protocol should ever override compassion? Let us know what you would have done. Because sometimes doing the right thing means rewriting the rules.